the winner of the 2011 AMP Innovation Award, the company that will own tomorrow, is Colmax Glass Proprietary Limited.
God, I don't know what to say. I'm usually one of the least superstitious people you could ever meet, and yet there's something about these awards. They mean so much to me that I can't bring myself to write a proper speech because that seems like it's going to jinx the whole thing. And then when I saw the other entrants in this category, and I've talked to some of them and learnt some of their stories, in particular the Zender gluten-free and Repipe, I really didn't think I'd be standing here. So bear with me, I have a few things to say, but it's going to be all over the place, so I'm sorry about that. The other thing I'm really happy about is that there was a dinner break after Paul's speech, because I just thought that was fantastic. So hopefully you've all forgotten it by now and I won't sort of look bad by comparison. Where do I go? Firstly, Telstra and AMP. I really want to thank you for putting on these awards, for doing such a stunning job. You know, if you're going to do a job, do it right, and you really, it is just spectacular for businesses to be recognised in this way. So, Dina, the rest of the team at Telstra, thank you. There was a little bit of a brouhaha in the press over the last couple of weeks in Sydney. I don't know how wide it got, but a commentator that I read a lot, Mia, said something on, I think, morning television about how in this country we have a tendency to idolise sporting heroes and don't give enough credit to other kinds of heroes. And she copped a huge amount of flack because, unfortunately, the timing of her statement was like the day after Cadel Evans won the Tour de France. And so, of course, you know, how could you be so un-Australian and all the rest of it? But I do think she had a really good point, and she was talking about all the different kinds of heroes. And in our own way, I do think that small business, medium business proprietors are heroes too, and a lot has been said tonight about how they're the engine for driving employment in the economy, and I do think that that's really true. Another aspect that's great about small business that I'd like to focus on is the fact that it is also, and can be, a real force for good. And I think Paul talked a bit about this in his speech, that one of his new goals is to go on and employ 700 families and be out there and doing good in the community. And one of the great things as a small business, when you own it, you don't have to be rapacious. You haven't got shareholders to report to that are demanding ever greater profits. You haven't got a share market sort of tracking your every move saying, oh dear, you know, you've slipped up a bit there, so we're going to mark you down. You can afford to balance profitability against sort of humanity, if I can put it that way. So it's not that, you know, we're in it to make a profit like everybody else, and ultimately you have to make some profit to be sustainable, but you don't have to take every last cent off the table. You as an individual can balance the needs of your employees against kind of the cost to the business, and you can be humane about it. And you know, speaking as a small business employer and from the people I've talked to in the room, I do think that that's a really important thing that small business can do, that they can be a real force for good in their communities. So just a little bit about Colmax. Some of you have heard the story. Some of you will have picked it up a bit from the great blurb. Basically, we started back in 2005 with a small idea to make a very, very specific product for someone that came to us asking for it. We built a little plant. It took us about a year. We just sort of did it in between doing other things because we didn't want to take a huge leap into the unknown. And we built a plant that could do about 250 tonnes a month. Since then, and we've sort of been on this very rapid trajectory, we sort of went from baby plant to bigger plant to bigger plant, and now we have 4 plants in 4 states, and we can process over 100,000 tonnes per annum, and all of the glass that we process is glass that would otherwise have ended up in landfill. So that's kind of a pretty cool thing. But But of course, like everybody else, we could not have done what we've done without our team. So there's a few people I really want to thank. They couldn't be here with us tonight because they're too busy out making money for us, which we like. Peter Breed came on board 2.5 years ago as our Chief Operations Officer. He works for sometimes very little pay, certainly less than he could have continued to earn in the telcos industry where he came out of. But he has just been a tremendous asset to the business, and we really could not have done it, and I'm not sure our marriage could have survived without him, because most of our plants run 24/7, so when something breaks down at 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody takes a call, and that used to be Peter, and now it's the other Peter, and I prefer it that way. It's great. Another person I really have to thank is Susan Russolo. She came on board with us about 3 years ago to really help with our strategic planning. Once again, gets paid very irregularly, but looking to the bigger picture of when we sort of much more sustainable making a mozza. And we also have a select group of about 6, like we have a team of maybe 40 now that work for us overall, but there's a core group of 6 that are really almost like family now that help us build our plants. And we couldn't have done what we've done in terms of building the plants we've built on the shoestring budget that we've had without these people that we have who, you know, you give them a shoebox full of something and they build you a car. They just, you know, from nothing, they create these great plants. So thank you to all of that team. Thank you also to all of our suppliers and everybody else who's been supportive of the business. And a very big thank you to a body called the Australian Packaging Covenant, who basically have a mandate to stop packaging waste going to landfill, and very kindly occasionally hand out grants to people like us who can demonstrate that that's what they're going to do with the money. So with their support, we've been able to build the plants that we've built, and hopefully they're pretty happy that we're doing exactly what we said we would do and taking all of those tonnes out of landfill. And that really is all of my thank yous, because there's nobody else important here who needs to be thanked, because apparently last time at the States I embarrassed him so much by thanking him, so he gets nothing. Thanks.